Hey everybody. Sorry about that. Super Tony 5111 again. Making a response to Liberty Chicks' latest crazy video. I know I kind of look like crap right now. Just got out doing all kinds of crazy field training today. Tweaked my knee a bit while humping through the forest, so just excuse me if I grimace from now on and then. But anyway, so I'll just start from the beginning here. I'll try to make this quick because obviously this will be a long one. First of all, she's responding to a video made by IEL Fish, who made a response to her video titled Why I Don't Support the Troops, in which she makes some pretty gross mischaracterizations, lies, and essentially slander against U.S. service members. So, yeah, I mean, she says she doesn't usually watch response videos, which I think is pretty funny, 'cause I had a response video by her as well, and because I engaged her in debate, and basically made her and her boyfriend look bad because they're kind of off kilter. She tried to ban me from making text responses to videos. So way to go for First Amendment rights there, Liberty Chick. Glad to see that you're open to a debate. So anyway, to continue, she says she posts things about the military out of love. She doesn't want an 18-year-old joining the military, etc., etc. I can't even know where to begin on that, You don't tell somebody that you love that you think they're dumb, or evil, or morally compromised, or a murderer, or a serial killer, okay? That's not love. That's being a jerk-off, alright? There's a big distinguishing factor there. If you love somebody, you try to convince them of your point by using logic, reasoning, and yes, some emotion will be involved, but you don't call people that you love really hurtful and slanderous and untrue things. So if that's your definition of love, then you and old boy Alex are going to have a pretty short marriage. Yeah, so anyway, you don't want people dying in vain. Okay, nobody wants anybody dying in vain. What you think is in vain, other people might think is important. You are not the end-all, be-all authority on what is right and wrong in the world, Cassie. I know probably no one really has told you that too much. Probably used to hearing what you want to hear from people, but it's not the way the world works, okay? So let's continue. Joining for no reason. Then you say, reasons against the Constitution, which by itself is kind of a silly argument. It's either no reason or against the Constitution. And I haven't heard anybody say they're joining for reasons against the Constitution. People join for different reasons. Some people join right out of high school because, they want to be able to get the money for college, GI Bill, or they want the experience of service and brotherhood and camaraderie that comes with military service, something that I'm sure you wouldn't be able to understand. People that, I joined while I was in college. I was an electrical engineering major at the time and felt like I wanted to get a bit more life experience before I sat behind a desk and designed circuit boards for another 20 or 30 years and wanted to be able to have some cool stories to tell my kids. So, the different stuff that you say, especially for reasons for joining, is so out of touch and off basis that it's hard to even create a good argument against it because you're so out there. Everybody joins for a different reason. Okay, nobody joins it for the exact same reason under the exact same circumstances. Not everybody is lucky enough to be born with silver spoons stuck in their mouth and be able to have everything handed to them that they want in life. Which is where I think that you're coming from here, but I'm trying not to get too personal. You said you care more about your cause than offending somebody. Honestly, I have found that if you can make an argument based on reasoning and logic and common sense, you won't need to offend somebody. You'll be able to convince them of your point without having dropped down to the lowest common denominator. I hope you understand where I'm coming from here, and maybe you'll be able to take that in your future conversations, because you're so off-putting that you don't make a clear presentation to anybody. For one person you might convince your point, there's 6 others that will go against you just on principle that you're not a very nice person. So, to continue. You say there's no point to be in the Middle East. Okay. Your job as a civilian, okay, and my job too as a citizen of the country, you're a citizen as well, is we are responsible for our government and the decisions that it makes because we live in a republic. So that means that you vote for legislators that will vote in Congress for the way that you believe. All right, that's how the system works. If you're against the wars, that's fine. Okay, that's your opinion. Vote. And if enough people vote that way, then it shit changes. That's how it works. So I would say, if you don't like us being in the Middle East, then do your job and vote and get us out of there. Wow, crazy concept, right? And then, of course, you talk about out of love, and you say you're not a hateful person. I would definitely beg to differ. You are an incredibly hateful person, between this video and the other videos that you have made on random subjects, you are an incredibly hateful person. And honestly, I don't have any hatred towards you. I just feel extremely sad for you. I pity you, Cassie. I pity you. I to be so full of hate for other people that disagree with you, I can't imagine what it's like to be you. Then you go on to talk about living in an ROTC dorm and, that you've talked to the other side. I have tons of respect for my ROTC brethren. Okay, they intend to join the military. Getting a good education, going to come in and be the future leadership of the Army. I have nothing but respect for the ROTC. But with all due respect to them, they don't have that experience yet. They haven't been in. They haven't, unless they are veterans and are going back to school and then coming back in, they don't have the experience of deploying yet. They don't have that experience of being in a line unit yet. They're still in training. So you saying that, well, I've talked to the other side of the coin, it's like talking to somebody that's in college for political science and saying, well, I've talked to this politician. They haven't been there yet. And, when they get that experience, that'd be a little bit more valid. If they don't have the experience yet, then to say that the other side of the coin is really disingenuous. And then you talk about, Republican, you used to be Republican, blah, 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 blah. What does that have to do with your argument? And this is something I'll touch on in the conclusion. Politics, military, two separate things, okay? We in the military try not to involve ourselves in the public as far as particular politics go. I try not to do it. I don't get into my personal politics. If you have a problem with what we're doing and where we're being deployed, take that out with your politicians. It's not our decision. Okay, we don't make our budget. That's one of the other points, saying that we're broke. We don't make our budget. We don't decide on where we're going to deploy to. We get those orders. We move out. We do the damn best job that we can. Crazy. You said that you support anyone who wakes up. I find that funny because, you're calling people murderers, killers, dumb, evil, blah, 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 blah. Then, all of a sudden, everything's okay the second they agree with you. So the second they agree with you, everything's all hunky-dory and fine. Boy, you're way off there. Okay, and then, you talk about politics again, George W. Bush and whatever, and then that goes along the lines I was saying, politics, military, separate. I don't know why you have to go out of your way to insult the military for your political beliefs. And like I said in another video, if you're a Ron Paul supporter, and it seems like this is a trend I'm finding more upon Ron Paul supporters, I don't know what his platform is as far as his thoughts on the military and military service, but if this is what the constituency is like, there's no way I would vote in that direction, period, because I wouldn't want to associate myself with people like you. So any hope that he ever had to get my vote, you've convinced me not to vote for him. So congratulations. That's one less vote. So, also want to say you're extremely condescending with all the little laughing and during your videos. You're not helping your argument. And then you talk about expecting thanks. Fish is right. We don't expect thanks. Most of us are pretty humble. If we're walking through the airport going to R&R or whatever, we don't expect people to come up to us and hug us and stuff. It makes us feel awkward. A nod of the head or whatever, that kind of stuff's cool. But we're people just like you. All right, we're not some glory-hungry people walking around just give me thanks. No, and I never met a soldier like that. And if I did, I'd probably laugh at him for being a jerk. Then you're mentioning that I guess you've gotten into confrontations with soldiers, and they said, well, you have your freedom of speech thanks to us. You're welcome. It's not because we're expecting thanks that we say that. It's because we think you're so unappreciative of what you have we have to remind you that, hey, the people that you're calling dumb and evil, morally compromised, serial killers are the same people that guarantee that you have to continue the right to confront us to begin with. Try it in some other country. Look what's going on in Bahrain or Syria right now. All right, you think someone goes up to one of their soldiers and starts insulting them? They're just going to tolerate it? They get gunned down in the street for less than that. So perhaps you should be thankful that you have the rights that you do, which are provided by us, and you're welcome. You talk about we're broke. Okay, I got it. We're in huge debt. We don't make our budget. We don't get to determine what's going on. I think that we, as soldiers and anybody in the military, deserves the best equipment that we can afford to give them to protect them while they're in combat. I think that is a responsibility of our government. You don't deploy us and then say, well, here's one rifle for the 10 of you, have at it. I think we've evolved past Red Army Russia. Thank you. You said bring freedom to America. We do. We vote. That's how the system works. I don't know if you're trying to recommend like a armed coup or something. That's not going to happen on my watch. Then you talk about the TSA and stuff, and as I've told you before, planes are a privilege, not a right. Yeah. Where else to go on that? I don't know. Then you make light to the old school like Vietnam thing: go to war, go to jail. The Army hasn't had that policy in a very, very long time. And when that policy was there, it was because there were certain young people, which it was limited to young people that were first time getting in trouble, that needed that guidance and needed that discipline and needed that structure to be constructive members of society. We could have just tossed them in prison for 30 years. Then what? They come out just, even harder criminal than they went in as, or give them a chance to make themselves better in the military, which many people did. So you don't have to be smart to join. Have you watched Forrest Gump? Wow, so you can judge the old military and what you saw in Forrest Gump. That's pretty awesome of you, Cassie. You have to have a high school diploma to get in. A lot of people are coming in now with college degrees because the job market's that bad right now. So I would venture to say, especially with all the technical equipment that we use and computers and everything else, you have to be relatively smart to do what we do. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. You were talking about someone getting a medal for stabbing a civilian. One of the things that you said, Cassie, was paid to chop someone's head off. And you have yet to show me the reference that we chopped somebody's head off and got paid for it. Because if there's a bonus incentive program that I don't know about, I'm going to be pissed off that I haven't got my money for cutting somebody's head off. In conclusion, basically what I wanted to say is to you, I think the really big mistake that you are making is you're confusing your politics with military service. Okay? Your politics shouldn't determine what you feel about people in the service. That'd be like hating a policeman for enforcing the law. Okay? We don't get to make those decisions. Let politicians do. Okay? And if you have a problem with our budget, or where we're being deployed, or whatever, take that up with the people that it matters. Okay? Don't take it up. Why show such hatred to us? Not that we really care. I mean, a lot of people get really pissed off at what you say. I pity you. To be as ignorant and hateful as you are, I can only imagine that your life is very sad. So I'm not going to get too mad at you, and I try not to be too insulting. But anyway, that's pretty much the conclusion. Is really separate military and politics. Okay, it's not all the same. Okay, that's about it.